Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am finally setting up my May bullet journal and this month's theme is super special and personal to me. I went with the nautical ocean vibe inspired by my village near the sea with lighthouse, ship, beach doodles and all those cozy vacation memories that make May feel so nostalgic. So grab your journal, snack or a favorite drink. Relax for a bit and let's create this colorful nautical May setup together. Starting my May setup with this lighthouse nautical theme, I chose this theme because May is actually vacation time for me and every year I go back to my village near the ocean. We live up on a hill and just below it there's a huge rocky cliff and right after that the ocean begins. The view from there is so peaceful, calm and beautiful. One of my favorite things there is a lighthouse which becomes the main inspiration for the entire setup. There's also a dolphin point nearby where lots of small shops come up during the season and you can see so many ships passing by in the water throughout the day. All of those little memories made me want to create a nautical theme this month because it feels really personal and comforting for me. And since this is also my first ever proper A5 dot grid journal, I really wanted to make this setup feel extra special. I started by sketching the lighthouse outline first because I knew I wanted that to be a main focus of the page. After that, I slowly added the stones, wave, and the ship to build the whole ocean scene around it. For the calendar section, I decided to keep it simple and spacious so it stays functional and easy to use throughout the month. I also added a ribbon banner for May title to make the page feel a little more decorative and complete. For color, I am using red and blue to keep that classic nautical vibe ongoing throughout the setup. I am using brush pen, almost like watercolors instead of acrylic paints. So honestly, I am little nervous about the pages since this journal is only 80 GSM, but hopefully it's work out. At the bottom, I added some sandy details with rocks to make the whole page look more connected to the beach theme. I also draw a cute little seagull wearing a sailor cap, which is probably one of my most tiny details on this page. To finish everything off, I added some flying birds and soft clouds in the background to make the spread feel more open, peaceful, and alive. And that's how my May cover page turned out. Honestly, this page already feels full of memory, ocean vibe, and the excitement of starting fresh again. Next, I am moving to my weekly spreads. Throughout my whole journal, I am keeping 4 weekly spreads and I will be repeating these layouts again and again. Not just for this month but for the entire journal. Each one will have a slightly different layout, style and doodles so it stays interesting and not boring. For the first weekly layout, I have created 7 horizontal rectangular boxes, one for each day of the week and the larger section for notes. This keeps everything really clean, simple and easy to use. I have already added May in a bold capital letters at the top and to match the nautical theme, I draw a glass bottle with a little letter inside like a message in a bottle. I also added some seagrass and stones around it to give it a more of that ocean feel. There is also a small calendar included for a quick weekly review which makes the spread more functional and practical. This layout is pretty simple but very useful for planning and I have kept the red and blue color combination to match the all over nautical theme. I really like how this page turned out. It's minimal, aesthetic and very functional. Now moving on my next weekly spread. For this layout, I wanted to try something a little different while still keeping it simple and functional. So here I have created 7 square boxes, one for each day of the week and one larger section for notes. This layout gives a bit more space to write while still looking clean and balanced. For the dates, instead of writing them normally, I added small ribbon banners on each box, which gives a nice decorative touch and fits really well with the all over theme. And for the title, I created a hanging wooden style banner like the ones you usually see outside small shops with their name written on them. I really like that idea, so I added May on it to give it a slightly different and creative look. There was a big empty space left for a decoration, so I used that to add more nautical theme. I drew two ships sailing on the ocean to match the theme and added waves around them to make the whole page feel more lively and connected. For colors, I continue with the same red and blue combination to keep everything consistent and give that classic nautical vibe. I also added some flying birds and soft clouds in the background to make the scene feel more open and natural. And to complete the weekly spread, I included a small calendar as well. So it stays practical and easy to use along with being aesthetic. All over, I like how this page turned out. It feels creative, balanced, and perfectly fits the nautical theme. Now moving on my next weekly spread. For this layout, I wanted to create something with a slightly different vibe. So I focused more on the nautical doodles and overall ocean feel. I separated the corner of the page to leave some space for doodles, which makes the layout look more open and also adds a nice decorative balance. In the center, I kept 7 sections for each day of the week along with one bigger section for notes, so it stays practical and easy to use. The title for this week is actually one of my favorites. I use a red and blue color combination to give it that bold nautical look, and I really like how it stands out on the page. For the doodles, I added different nautical elements like shells, compass, crab, and other small details and coloring everything using red and blue tones to keep the theme consistent. To represent the ocean, I added those blue color stripe across the page, which gives a nice water-like effect and ties everything together visually. And finally, to complete the weekly spread, I added a small calendar at the end so it stays functional along with being aesthetic. All over this page feels very ocean inspired, fun, and full of nautical vibes. And finally, moving on my last weekly spread of the May. For this spread, I decided to keep things a lot more simple and clean compared to the previous layouts. I created 7 square boxes for each day of the week along with one larger section for notes. So there is enough writing space while still keeping the page neat and balanced. There was some empty space left at the top, so I used it to draw a big ship anchor to continue the nautical theme. I feel like the anchor gives the whole spread a very strong ocean and a sailor vibe, while still looking minimal. To decorate it little more, I added a ribbon banner around the anchor for the May title, which ties everything together really nicely and keeps the theme consistent throughout the journal. I also added some soft cloud and flying birds around the page to make the layout feel lighter and more open instead of keeping it too plain. And just like my other weekly spreads, I finished this one with small calendar as well to make it more functional and easy to use. And now moving on to my next two spreads, which are probably some of the most important pages in my whole monthly setup. I decided to keep these two spreads together because I wanted the entire theme to flow nicely and not feel too disconnected. I really love when every page in my journal looks connected with the same vibe, colors, and the details. The first spread is my things page, basically where I track everything I read, watch, and listen throughout the month. I make this spread to every single month because I genuinely love keeping memories of things that I was obsessed with during that time. Books, music, movies, and series are honestly such a huge part of my life. They comfort me, inspired me, and sometimes literally keep me going through during difficult time. So this page always feels very personal to me. I gave separate section for I read, I watch and I listen. So I probably track all my favorite throughout the May. For the doodles, I added this big sail away subtitle with a tiny ship inside a bottle, and this is honestly one of my favorite doodles from the entire setup. I also added hanging wooden board style titles, some soft cloud, a tiny flying birds to keep the nautical aesthetic going across the page. To make the spread feel more ocean inspired, I added little wave at the bottom of the boxes, and I feel like it really complements the whole beachy nautical theme so well. The red and blue color combination throughout the page gives such a classic ocean vibe and makes everything look really bright and fun. And besides that, I created my meal tracker spread, which is actually a very important page for me. The layout is super simple and functional. I made 31 rows for all the days of the month and divided them into 3 columns for breakfast, lunch and dinner. I really like tracking my meals because it helps me stay more conscious about what I am eating throughout the month. And if you are also health conscious or trying to improve your eating habits, meal trackers like this can honestly help so much. It's such a simple habit but makes you way more aware of your routine. For the decorations on this page, I added more nautical doodles like a tiny crab, another bottle doodle with a letter inside, little stones, cloud and birds to match the rest of the setup. I also added sand at the bottom of the both page so the spreads feel connected together like one long beach scene. And now moving on my tracker spread. For this spread, I decided to create both a mood tracker and a habit tracker together while still keeping the same nautical beach vibe flowing across the journal. At first, I was thinking about drawing a ship for the mood tracker, but then I realized the lighthouse is actually the main character of this entire theme. The whole setup is inspired by my village near the ocean and the lighthouse there. I wanted to continue that story here too. So I decided to draw one big lighthouse as the mood tracker, and honestly I am so happy with how it turns out. The lighthouse has 31 sections for all the days of the month, and I added different colors for different moods like happy, okay, sad, angry and not feeling well. I feel like mood trackers always make monthly setups more personal because they become a little memory of how your month actually felt emotionally. For the habit tracker site, I kept the layout clean and functional. I added trackers for walking, exercise, reading, and being creative because these are habits I genuinely want to stay consistent with during the month. And to combine both spread together, I added this tiny colorful beach shop at the bottom, and I am honestly obsessed with how cute they look. They remind me so much of the little shops you see near the beaches and tourist places during the vacation time. That whole colorful beachside vibe feels really nostalgic to me and makes this spread feel even more personal and warm. I also added sand, little stones, cloud, birds and soft color to keep everything connected with a nautical aesthetic. But now come the most painful part of this setup. The thing is very creator is scared of happening. While making this spread, I got completely lost in the process of coloring, drawing, making the boxes, adding all the tiny details, and I didn't even notice that my phone had stopped recording. And when I realized it, honestly, it was such a frustrating moment because this spreads look so beautiful while creating it, especially during the coloring process. And I really wanted to capture all that on camera. But at the same time, I had to calm myself down and remind myself that these things happen sometimes while creating content. I can't undo it now, but still, I wanted to show you how colorful and pretty this spread turned out in the end. While making this page, I was so lost in the creative flow that I forgot everything else around me. Maybe it's also a beautiful part of journaling. And now, keeping everything that happened before aside, I am finally moving to my next and last spread of the month. This page looks pretty different compared to the all other spreads in this setup. This is basically my brain dump page, but I wanted to give it a little twist and make it a feel more personal and memory based instead of just random notes. So on this page, I am planning to write about how my entire May month went. I want to add little memories, thoughts, feeling, random moments, maybe some pictures too, almost like creating a tiny scrapbook diary of my month. Thinking about all the future memories that will fill this page makes me so excited already. Happy moments, sad moments, random late night thoughts, little achievements, memories from vacation, maybe songs or photos that remind me of this month. Everything will slowly come together here by the end of the May. That's why I decided to give this spread full 2 pages because I wanted enough space to freely write and decorate without worrying too much about structure. For the decoration, I continued the same nautical vibe and added lots of little theme doodles around the page. I drew another lighthouse, bottle doodle, anchor, a tiny crab, and even a fishing net at the top of the corner, which honestly adds such a cute ocean touch to the spread. For the title, I again used those hanging wooden boat style headers to keep the consistency throughout the setup. I also added soft clouds, flying birds, and those blue stripes around the border to make the page feel like an open beach sky. At the bottom, I added sand details across the both pages so everything feels connected together like a one complete beach scene. And honestly, I really love how this spread turned out. It feels simple, calm, creative, and very personal at the same time, which is exactly the vibe I wanted for this whole May setup. And that was my complete May setup. Honestly, I am really happy with how this entire journal come together, from the lighthouse cover page to all the weekly spreads, tracker, memory page, and tiny nautical doodles. Everything feels so personal and connected to me. This setup is not just about being aesthetic, but also about memories, vacation feelings, my village near the ocean, and all the little things that make me feel special in my life. I love experimenting with different weekly layouts while still keeping the same red and blue nautical color palette throughout the journal. Even though some moments during the filming were frustrating, like accidentally not recording one of my favorite spreads, I still enjoy the whole creative process so much. And before ending this video, I also wanted to mention that I got the original inspiration for this nautical theme from Pinterest. I came across someone's journal setup with the similar ocean and nautical vibe, and it honestly helped me so much, especially when I was confused about that what layouts to use for my weekly spreads. Seeing their setup really inspired me to try this theme in my own style and help me bring all those ideas together. Seeing their setup really inspired me to try this theme and help me bring all these ideas together. I really wanted to thank them properly because they genuinely inspired this setup, but sadly I couldn't find their Instagram or original account anywhere. So if someone the creator ever sees this video, thank you for inspiring this journal setup. And honestly, starting again with this new A5 dot grid journal after losing my old journal feels really emotional but also comforting in a way. It reminds me that even if something get lost, you can always start over again and create something beautiful again.